The sound of boots crunching against my driveway that morning still echoes in my memory. I thought it was just delivery drivers or maybe some kids cutting across the yard. But when I opened the door, I saw 6 men in black polos, tactical vests, and smug grins. They weren't police. They weren't officials. They were law enforcers, and they had come with one mission: to throw my family out of our home. They didn't expect to meet my wife. They thought she was just another suburban mom. They thought she was fragile, someone who'd cry and beg as they carried out their orders. What they didn't know was that before she was my wife, before she was a mother, she was one of the U.S. Army's most skilled Green Beret snipers. And when these enforcers threatened her family, they stepped into the wrong battlefield. My name is David. I'm a regular guy, a schoolteacher. My wife, Emily, and I bought our house 5 years ago, hoping to give our 2 kids a quiet life. We wanted normal things: cookouts, swing sets, a backyard where the kids could play. At first, the neighborhood seemed perfect. But then came the letters. Then the fines. Then the intimidation. The law wanted everything controlled. The length of our grass. The color of our shutters. The toys in our yard. We did our best to comply, but it was never enough. Finally, the breaking point came when we built a treehouse for our kids. To the law, it was an unauthorized structure. To our children, it was magic. When we refused to tear it down, the law escalated. They sued. They fined us thousands. And when that didn't scare us, they sent their so-called enforcement team. That morning, Emily was in the kitchen making pancakes. The kids sat at the table coloring. I opened the door to see those 6 men standing there. One, the leader, sneered at me. "David Harper, you and your family are hereby evicted. Pack your things or we'll pack them for you." I felt my knees shake. My kids heard his voice and started crying. I tried to reason with them, but they shoved me back. That's when Emily walked in. She didn't shout. She didn't panic. She simply said, "Step away from my family." The leader laughed. "And what are you gonna do, lady?" Emily's eyes didn't waver. Calm. Steady. I knew that look. I'd seen it before when she told me pieces of her past. My wife had served 12 years as a Green Beret sniper, trained to remain composed under pressure, trained to end fights before they began. And that morning, the fight had just begun. Emily motioned to me. "Take the kids upstairs." Her voice left no room for argument. I obeyed. From the window, I watched as the enforcers tried to grab her by the arm. In one fluid motion, she twisted, broke his grip, and dropped him flat on the porch with a sweep of her leg. The others charged. Emily moved like water, swift, controlled, efficient. She wasn't reckless. Every move was measured. She ducked a swing, jabbed one man in the throat, sending him staggering. Another reached for her, but she used his momentum to flip him onto the lawn. Within seconds, 3 men were down, groaning in the grass. The leader cursed and pulled out a collapsible baton. "You think you're tough," he snarled. Emily didn't flinch. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." By then, neighbors had gathered on sidewalks, phones out, recording. The law had counted on fear and silence. But now, people were witnessing the truth. Ordinary families being bullied by self-appointed thugs. The leader swung his baton. Emily dodged, disarmed him, and snapped the weapon in half against her knee. Gasps echoed across the street. She pinned him against the porch post with one hand, her eyes locked on his. "You're done here," she said, her voice quiet but lethal. "Tell your bosses this family isn't moving an inch." He tried to shove her, but she pressed harder, her voice cutting like steel. "And if you ever threaten my husband or my children again, you'll regret it." Finally, he broke. All right, he shouted. She released him, and he stumbled back, humiliated. His men scrambled to their truck, defeated. Minutes later, police arrived, summoned by the neighbors who had called 911. At first, the law tried to spin the story, claiming Emily attacked them. But the videos told the truth: 6 armed men storming onto our property, assaulting us, and being dismantled by one woman defending her home. The cops didn't arrest Emily. They arrested the enforcers. Word spread like wildfire. Local news picked it up. Suddenly, the HOA was under investigation for abuse of power, illegal evictions, and harassment. Their enforcement team was disbanded. The fines against us were erased. And the treehouse. It still stands, stronger than ever. That night, after the chaos faded, I found Emily sitting quietly on the porch. The moonlight touched her face, calm again. I sat beside her. You didn't have to do all that for me. She smiled faintly. Yes, I did. For you. For our kids. For our home. This is what I fought for all those years, freedom. And no HOA bully gets to take that away. I held her hand. For the first time in months, I felt safe. Not because the HOA was gone, but because my wife had reminded me what true strength looks like. Here's the truth. Heroes don't always wear uniforms anymore. Sometimes, they wear aprons while making pancakes for their kids. They're mothers, wives, and daughters who know what it means to fight, not for glory, but for love. The HOA thought they could push us out with intimidation. But they learned a lesson that day. When you threaten a family, when you try to strip people of their dignity, you'll discover a strength far greater than your rules and fines. And sometimes, that strength just happens to be a Green Beret sniper.